Hello, all you beautiful, wonderful, amazing, spectacular tea people. Today, we're going to talk about what teas are going to be released this Sunday. And then I'm going to go into these two teas. These two teas, what do I have here? I've got a bug bitten high mountain oolong, sort of from the summertime, and an organic high mountain GABA. And both these teas are relatively expensive, and we got to talk about price because it's a problem. It's a problem. Price. Because, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into sort of the problem of price. Now, I don't know if you can tell or if you can hear it or how this is going to go. So here's Taiwan. There's a typhoon going like this, and it's swirling up. So it's sending stuff up to here in Hualien. So I don't know. Is it too? If it's too windy and if the sound is wrong or bad, then let me know and we'll figure that out. But for now, we will try. We will try this blustery, beautiful, fall morning. And yes, it is a bug-bitten summertime tea. So there's the bug bitten summertime tea. So what are we looking at? Bug bitten summertime teas. The one on the site right now called, we'll talk about that. But the one on the site right now that's called Scale. What are you doing, my friend? The one that's on the site right now that's called High Mountain Beauty is, well, what we'll talk about when we're talking about this style of tea. First, what are the teas that are going to be released? There are a lot of them on Sunday. And so the teas that are going to be released on Sunday are as follows. The Dragon's Eye flowers. So I've got a bunch of them. I'm going to pack them up probably today. And the Dragon Eye flowers are going to be released. And there's no big danger. Last time it was like, you better get them or else it's all gone. Nope. It's okay this time. Sounds breezy, but I can still hear you clearly. Thank you for letting me know, and I'm glad to hear that. So there's lots of it, and I can probably get more, and it's good. And if you've had that thing before, it's amazing, and it's not as expensive as last time. The second thing is going to be, this one is going to be very, very limited amounts and expensive, but it's just sort of the nature of what it is. But there's going to be a High Mountain White tea. So the High Mountain White tea, I don't know exactly what I'll probably call it Alpine White or something like that. But there's only going to be maybe 700-800 grams of that tea available. And it's really expensive. Well, it's not all that expensive. Like it's Snow Mist expensive. It's not like 1980s oolong expensive. But that tea will be released as well, but very limited amounts. And then there is going to be the Sanxia series of teas. So they'll be released. I got all of them from sort of late summer and into the fall. So there's the white, the green, and the black. And they will all be released at 10% off, especially the sort of the you can get three at the same time. So that'll be released 10% off as well. The vanilla. So I'm going to... Anyway, so I got to turn that off on my laptop here. But the vanilla is going to be released. So the vanilla is going to be released. And I don't quite know how that's going to go, but it's not going to be too expensive, right? It's going to be decent. The joke is, of course, that when you buy vanilla beans, they always put them in like a glass vial, and you buy like 2 for $20, or like, no. This is me, right? I'm going to sell them by weight. Like about this many sticks, and you'll get some really decent, amazing vanilla for not breaking the bank. Let's put it that way. It will not break the bank for the vanilla. And last but not least, there will be the 2 tea cakes. So there will be the 2 tea cakes. And so I haven't exactly priced them out, but they're not too expensive. One of them, the older one, is sort of like a wet stored Taiwanese show is kind of how I'm going to describe it. And then the younger one is really interesting. It's a competition tea that's been about 3 years. And so those teas will be released this Sunday at the usual time. Now, these 2 teas will not be released. I've got some of these. I don't have too much, but I got enough. but these will be going in next month's subscription box. So next month's subscription box will have the High Mountain White, some Sandshell White. They'll do a comparison, higher, lower elevation. There'll be the Dragon Eye flowers. There'll be some vanilla. There'll be the 2 tea cakes. And then there'll be like these 2 teas. Because I have to decide what I'm going to do with these 2 teas. Because they're relatively expensive. And I don't know what I'm going to do with these 2 teas. Because I've been trying hard not to, I don't know what to do. I don't want to go on the offense. Right now, I'm extraordinarily comfortable with the amazing people buying tea. I have no complaints. It's not like, oh, I need to buy more tea or I need this or I need that. No, nothing like that. Everything is fine, right? Slow and steady. That's what I'm doing with this tea company and with my life and this tea company and blah, 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 blah. But I had this really nice long chat with a good buddy of mine who does really, 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 really expensive teas. Now, we're talking about really expensive teas. We're talking like he goes out, he does everything by himself, and he creates these teas that he sells for $1 a gram. So he sells his teas for $1 a gram. And this guy, like his teas, they're worth $1 a gram, right? Now, he makes a lot of teas all throughout the year. Not all of them are worth $1 a gram. A lot of them are worth $1 a gram. Some of them are worth like way more than $1 a gram. And he's been at me. He's been trying to do like price, talking about price. You got to sell more expensive teas. You got to sell more. Well, actually, he's not that way. But he's, that's sort of his thing is this. You should be selling more expensive teas. And he is 100% absolutely right in every single way. And what I mean by that is there are teas out there, just like there's everything, right? It's the Pareto principle. It's the 2040, the 2080 rule, right? And then you go up the 2080 rule, and then the 2080 of the 2080, and then the 2080 of the 20. And so if you get the tea that's in the top 20, it's worth $5. If you go up another one, it's worth $50. You go up another one, it's worth $500. You go up another one, it's worth $5,000. That exists. That is real. And people lie about it. Right? That's the game. People lie about it. And I have stayed away from that stuff a lot. I've stayed away from it. My idea is the best possible value teas. Now, if I have a tea that's super expensive, I have a tea so for example, the tea that I'm going to be releasing on Sunday, which is I'm going to call probably Alpine White, is an amazing tea. It's an extraordinarily rare tea. I literally bought all he had left, which was 1.2 kilograms, right? So I bought all of it. I bought all of it for a lot of money, right? And then now I'm going to sell that white tea for a lot of money, right? So I'm going to sell that white tea. It's going to be, say probably about, I'm going to say 60 cents a gram, give or take. Right, so it's going to be about 60 cents a gram for this beautiful, delicate white tea, and it's worth it. Right, it's worth 60 cents a gram. But that's rare. Most of the stuff I get, I'm really looking for things that are not so much cheap. Right, it's not about being cheap. It's about teas that I can share with you guys that are worthwhile. So say it's $2 a serving, and that $2 a serving is like, wow. I hope the sound's okay because it's windy today. It really is windy. But it's like, wow, I really, that was $2, but a tea bag is 20 cents. And so I'm always playing this game where I'm like, listen, I want to do things. And what I've chosen to do is err on the side of value. So if I go to a place, right, and there's 2 teas side by side, and one of them is a 95 percentile tea, and one of them is a 93 percentile tea, and the 95 percentile tea is like the price is up here, and this one, the price is right here. I'm always getting this. I'm always getting the one where the price is a little bit lower, and the quality might not be as high as the high one, but the price differential to me, right, and this is all subjective, right, the price to me seems more in the right spot, because and I'm not going to get all controversial and things like that because I understand why people are doing things. But there's people out there, sort of the showmen, right? The showmen in the tea world, the ones who do shows. This I do not count as a show, even though I tell my family I'm going to go do a show. Um, this is not what I would consider a show. The showman will take a tea that perhaps I sell and sell it for 4 times, 5 times the price that I sell it for, not the raw cost. And sometimes it's the exact same tea, and I know it's the exact same tea because the tea world in Taiwan isn't that big when it comes to foreigners. And so you have these teas that sell for like $1 a gram that I sell for like 20 cents a gram, and I'm like, what do I do? Do I call these people out or not? I'm not going to call these people out. It's never going to happen. That will never happen. Remember, I will never call the people out. That will never happen. But I'm like, if there's a market for people selling teas for $1 a gram for a new tea, I got some teas I can share. Right? Your voice is coming in clear and louder than the wind. The wind is quieter, background noise. Perfect. Thank you. And today there is no soundtrack. So I don't know. I guess our musical student is our musical student is taking the day off, or taking the morning off anyways. Too windy. That's why we find you. Sound is fine, thank you. Well, and Mikey MacGyver, and I like the name. But that's the thing, right? So people slowly find me. They start with the showman, and then they go, wait a minute, and then they go here, 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 and then eventually they sort of find me, and then like I give out samples, and the samples that I give out would be like, anyways, whatever. Point is, the cost of teas. Now this one right here, this guy right here, this is a certified organic GABA tea, and it's pretty special. Now, what's the problem with the really high mountain teas? When they do the GABA, the problem is that number one, nobody wants to do it. No one wants to do a high mountain GABA. Nobody wants to do it because they make more money selling their high mountain oolongs. They can sell their high mountain oolongs. But if they do the GABA, they can sell it for a little bit more. Now, this is a GABA. So if you're looking at, so the Alishan GABA is like the GABA. That's really heavily GABAized, oxidized, whatever it is. This is like, if that's up here, this is like right in the middle, almost like down here is a normal thing. It's right in the middle between the two. And what that gives is this beautiful flavor that is high mountain alpine GABA. It's got all those different things and all that stuff, right? All that stuff all together. It's really, really beautiful. And it's really hard to do. It's really hard to do, but the cost basis is twice as much as the normal GABA that I get. And so now I'm stuck in this strange world where I'm like, because lots of people have tried this. They've tried to pull it off, but they didn't make it, right? They didn't make it. They did not make it. It wasn't good enough. But this is like, it's good enough. And this is sort of twice the cost of the other GABA. But it's I'm probably going to get it. I'm probably going to get it, even though it's really expensive. Up front, sort of GABA-ness, mid-mouth, quite wide and beautiful, sort of normal high mountain oolong-y, mid-mouth, then going into the aftertaste, and then the aftertaste just does this weird alpine GABA. It's like grape flowers. It's grape floral. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. And so I'm probably going to get that. But this one, well, let's take a look. Tea's great. Thank you for the teacups. Well, is the long yam flower going to be up? Yes. Just for people joining in, Sunday is going to be the Dragon's Eye flower, the Alpine High Mountain White. I'm only going to have about maybe 600 grams of that up for sale, though. all the Sanchez, so the white, the black, and the green. I've got new ones in. They're all really fresh and beautiful. The vanilla, so you can buy sticks of vanilla, and the 2 tea cakes, the 2 sort of tea cakes. So that's all going to be up on Sunday. And let's get to this one. Now, this one, I was going to, if I bought it, I was going to call it, if we were going to buy it, I was going to call it like Honey Fragrance High Mountain. But here's the problem. It's really, really similar to the High Mountain Beauty, like really, really similar. It's got all those same things going on. It's better than the High Mountain Beauty. It's better than the High Mountain Beauty, but it's double the cost of the High Mountain Beauty. Double the cost. Right? So this tea is on the site right now. I've got one that's very, very similar. It is better. I would say it's another 20% better, but the cost is double. And would I say this is a fair price for this tea? I'd say it's a little bit overvalued, a little bit, but only because I have access to a lot of other teas. If this was the only thing you could find, this would be perfect value. Right there, perfect value, but I'm not going to get this one. Does it sound really okay? Because it's going. My poor bees right here, they're all just sort of, only the really big and strong ones are going out to get nectar and pollen today. As it's pretty strong. So there's the deal. When we're talking about value, these are sort of easy. These are easy. Now, I have gone to the teas. Voice is clear. Thank you. Sound is good. Thank you. I have gone to the realm of, I remember years ago I did the, people still ask me about it, and I wish I had more, but like $2, $2.50 a gram fresh teas that were the High Mountain Beauties or those types of teas, and I have gone to that. But you know, and if I ask the question right now in this sort of chat, you know, I'm sure it's people here be like, yeah, do it. You know, people would be very excited. People in this chat, if I said, okay, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to go out and I'm going to get really expensive teas, and teas that are, you know, that are made in batches that are less than a kilogram, and that, you know, that sell retail for $1 a gram, that I'm going to be able to sell to you for $1 a gram. But I still feel like, I still feel like that. It's like a sleeping soundtrack, some bird chirps as well. Yeah, well, there you go, a sleeping soundtrack. That is living in Hualien, except when the garbage truck comes. For those who don't know, the garbage truck plays Fur Elise with really tinny sound, and it goes nonstop from about 5 o'clock until maybe 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock at night. And that's just, you just hear it everywhere. So that's the soundtrack of Taiwan, right? Less than a kilogram batch. Yes, exactly. Another day, another man in a hat telling me about delicious tea. Well, there you go. Another, there's, I don't know, do they usually wear hats on Instagram? You know, I should go and, no, I hate doing research. I don't want to know what other people are doing. There's a couple sort of big, really big and popular brands right now that just come up on my feed all the time, and I see them and I'm just like, you know, like, good for you, Jayo, do it. I don't want to see it though. I don't want to compete. You know, I feel sorry for the drivers. Well, the drivers of the garbage trucks, the guys who do the garbage trucks, it's a really interesting thing because they become part of the community because they're here like 3 or 4 days a week, but that's a whole different thing. I don't feel too bad for them. They seem to be okay with their job. They're friendly. They're okay with their job. It's a weird one. It really is. It's a weird one. I wouldn't want their job, but for some strange reason in Taiwan, they have a they have some respect. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. It's your vibe, the aesthetic. Well, yes, I shaved yesterday, but you can see I still have I didn't shave off the top, so I'm like, I'll wear a hat today. But but value in teas is something that I'm thinking I'm gonna write some stuff on it, and maybe have like a maybe what can I do like like an exclusive group that's not exclusive. Anybody can join it, but you get to get access to these like super expensive teas before anybody else. But I wouldn't even want to put them anywhere else, right? The last thing I want is for somebody who's first getting into tea and then gets one of these like $1 or $2 a gram teas. They drink it and they go, "Oh no, I've either been ripped off or I didn't appreciate it what it was." And when people are getting into tea, that's what happens, right? It's brutal. Everybody has their price. Yes, exactly. Everybody does have their price, and I like staying in the realm of prices where no one has ever said to me that your tea is overpriced. That's never happened. Now I've said that out loud, knock on wood. So now somebody's going to come at me and be like, "You have such expensive tea." No, I don't. I really, really don't have expensive tea, right? Because like I was saying before, the big guys, the showmen, they will take the exact same tea. When I say the exact same tea, I'm literally saying the exact same tea from my buddies, right? So they'll tell me about it. I went to the show and we were talking about it, and they will charge. If I charge, say, $25 for 100 grams, they're charging like $75 for 100 grams or more. And I don't think it's right, but at the same time, I'm not going to go after them. Appreciate how much you care about quality versus value. I think that's the only real way you can do well in life, right? If I said to you, okay, so say for example, I'm going to be selling a tea that's like 60 cents a gram, right? The Sancha, the Alpine High Mountain White, 60 cents a gram. If I say to you, this is really worth 60 cents a gram, or if I say to you, this is really worth $5 a gram, can you tell the difference in my voice? Right? It's there, right? You should buy this tea. It's $5 a gram. You should buy this tea at 60 cents a gram. Can you notice that in my voice? And I can notice it in my body, right? So just now saying that out loud, I can notice that in my body, right? One is smooth, fine. The other one is a catch. There's a little bit of a tension in there, things like that. And you should train yourselves to be able to pick that out. Now, there's psychopaths and there's things like that. I haven't seen too many psychopaths in the tea world, to be honest. But I'm sure they exist. And I don't really pay all that much attention to it. I try and stay away from it. But, you should be able to listen to people talk and be able to pick that out. Because even if you play back to what I just said before, you should be able to, for me anyways, my body is very, very, very obvious. Right? It's super obvious for me. You should be able to listen to that. Now everybody's different, blah, blah, blah. But it's a good way to think about it. The White Eager GABA has a greener oolong look to the leaves versus dark flower or snow mist GABA. Yes. And that one, the White Eager GABA, perfect example, is super cheap. Like it's super, 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 super cheap. And I know for a fact that there's other people that sell that for a lot more than I sell it for, like 4 or 5 times as much. But the point is, when you talk about that greenish oolong, it's a little bit. The reason it's a little bit greener is because they don't take the care. It's a large batch tea, and they don't take the care to create something really, really special with that tea. And so it is a little bit greener. And if you put it beside the other tea leaves, you'll actually be able to see the cut. All the different parts of the tea leaf and things like that. But for the price that I sell it at, I think it's a decent value, right? I think it's a decent value. But the reason that it has the greener look to it is because there's not as much care taken in sort of the whole process. It's done a little bit faster, and it's done to have the upfront flavor as the gabble flavor, right? Sometimes there are flavor profiles that are hard to get your hands on unless you pony up the dough. Well, that is, Mr. MacGyver, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely 100% true. The Eastern Beauty stuff, for example. Are these sellers you're talking about charging more selling abroad or domestically or a combo? Oh, they're just personalities, right? I don't. I think at this time, this setting in the game, in sort of certainly in the way I perceive things, if you're not selling internationally or you're not selling all over, it's really, really, really hard to sell high quality Taiwanese tea, right? The market is still like this big. You have to sell to the entire world. And so these are just people that sell to the entire world. But of course, the United States is still about 80% of my market. Is 75, 80% of my market is the United States. Because those, if you're curious about it, we can talk about why it's the United States. But that's still the market. So most of the, well, you guys know. I mean, whatever. It's people focus on the English-speaking world. Do comments distract you from the points you're getting, or are they appreciated? Absolutely appreciated. 80%. The Tea Triad Mafia. Well, that's we won't get into that discussion. But yes, the United States is about 80% of, I would say, the global. Outside of Asia, North America in general, United States in particular, is about 80% of the high quality tea market. But I would say that the United States is about 80% of most export markets for high quality goods. I mean, it's just the way it is, right? That's, what does the United States export? Dollars. Dollars. That's what they export. And so, unfortunately, the United States doesn't, you got the Cantillon effect. They don't produce it. The United States doesn't produce as much as they used to, but they export dollars. And so people in the United States in general have more, everything's priced in dollars, so they have more purchasing power. And so, it's one of those things where the people who have the dollars, the Cantillon effect, are able to spend the dollars. And so they're the ones who buy, like high quality chocolate, high quality vanilla, high quality wine. I guess that's probably Europe, but that's a European thing. But, generally speaking, the high quality types of products, the United States is the place that has it. Generally speaking, the coasts. They run the garbage trucks. Well, yes, those are the guys. Stark truth. Well, my family is very, I've had my children and my wife say to me many, many times, shut up. I do not want to hear the truth. And so that's sort of one of my things. I can't. It's hard for me to not speak the truth. It's very, very hard for me not to speak the truth. With caveats, of course, but yes, I mean that's why the United States can afford all these high quality things sent to them. And if anybody is curious about it, good luck. But it's a minefield to learn about that stuff, I'll tell you. If you want to start learning about it, don't buy anything that anybody sells you for at least 2 years while you learn. Thankfully, I got to avoid all of that. But anyways, the point is, the United States is about 80% of the market. And I would say 80% of, in general, just sort of the global high-quality tea market for reasons that I mentioned. But there's also another reason, and this is a really, 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 really important reason. There's a mix between, in general, openness, right? So the people on the coast of the United States, they have money and they're generally high in the trade of openness, so they want to try new things. And the second thing is there's no real tea culture in the United States. And so people can experiment more and they can have more fun with tea. So, for example, in the United Kingdom, there is like there's a tea culture, really, really strong, almost religion-like tea culture. And so it's there is an openness to trying new things, but you're not going to be able to get like a lot of daily drinkers. People are not going to change their routine and get high quality tea to drink every day. They're just not going to do it. And so you have that juxtaposition, which adds in with the Cantillon effect and all those different things. So you got all that stuff rolling around together. Yes. Well, PG tips. Yes. But it's, anyways. So it's one thing when somebody says, "Okay, I'll trust you. I'll spend $30 on this tea, and if it's not exactly what you say it is, you know what? It's okay. It's okay, right? And I got a free sample with it, and so I'm happy." It's another thing when that same tea is like 60, maybe $80, maybe $100, $120 for a tea, for 100 grams of tea. And then the worth value thing, right? So part of it is a selfish thing as well, of course, right? In the sense that I'm saving myself from, somebody buys $120 tea and they say, "This is not $120 tea. This is only an $80 tea." I'm like, well, in general, if anybody complains about the tea, I'm just like, here's your money back. Never buy from me again, and we're good. Like it happens very, 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 very rarely. In a year, maybe one or two times. And I'm always just like, "Here's your tea. Here's your money back." There's one time where there's a guy from England, and he's like, "Your tea is broken," and he bought the Old Master green, and the Old Master green is done sort of in the Japanese way, and it's got the umami, the fish taste. And I can say that it's not a subject. It's totally subjective. I'm not saying objective. I'm not a particularly big fan of that particular flavor profile. But he wrote a message saying, "Your tea is broken. I can't believe it smells like rotten fish. It tastes like rotten fish." And I was like, "Here's your money back." That's actually sort of part of the flavor profile. I don't particularly like it either. Here's your money back. So it happens. It happens. Yeah, he really thought that someone had, stuck a fish in his. Anyways, so it does happen, right? But the idea of that happening with a really expensive tea is something that I'm like, So I think what I'll do, I will start doing it probably in the new year, wintertime project type of thing. But it'll be a smaller group. People have to ask to sort of get access to the teas, and it will be a smaller group, and I'll just try it out and see if people are actually interested in something like that. Because I get access to some amazing, wildly expensive, but amazing teas. And if you've been drinking Taiwanese teas for a while, Hong Kong basement storage with low quality material. Well, there you go. That's sort of like the tea that a little higher quality material, but that's sort of the flavor profile of the tea cake that's going to be sent out soon. On your tea labels, it says to start with 30 seconds. Do you do a flash wash or just start with 30 seconds? Generally with darker oolong. I would say, so just as an aside, you can see here, the hives are kicking out the drones right now. So you can see this poor guy has just been kicked out of his hive. The drone bees are the male bees. He was crawling on my foot. They don't have a stinger. And so it's kind of fun when you're teaching to like throw them in the crowd of little kids to teach them and say, oh, it doesn't. But yeah, right now there's poor guys. They don't really have a good use. But yeah, they're not going to take them back. The question about the thing. So I do basically the same thing with every single tee, 30-second steep, flash steeps. I would say the best thing to think about a flash steep, especially with the tees that I sell, is presentation. So if you are going to flash steep a tee, you're drinking for other people, or you're serving other people, you do a flash steep, and then you hand it around so people can smell the tea. That's really, really good. That also means the first steep is going to have more flavor. The first steep is going to be like, you know, it's going to be more of a wow factor. If you're drinking by yourself, don't worry about it. Right? You could do a wash if you want to do a wash, I guess. But in general, the teas that I sell are really, really clean. So you don't have to really worry about washing off dust or different things. If anybody tells you they're washing off the agrochemicals, just walk away from them and be like, you're an idiot. You're lying to me. I'm not buying tea from you. They're just idiotic. The fact that, like, especially ball rolled oolongs, like, oh, I'm going to wash off the pesticides. Like, you know, it takes like 3 steeps for it to open up, right? I mean, sorry, pet peeve of mine. But to answer that question would be, is a wash best? Absolutely, if you are serving for other people. If you're just doing it for yourself, doesn't really matter. But it's your own personal preference, right? It's your own personal preference. And I don't know what the best way to do it is. Count me in. Very cool. Yes. Well, I'll see if I can. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to send it out there and just be like, who's interested? And then maybe set up a Discord server or something like that. But, you know, it's like expensive wines or expensive chocolate or expensive whatever, right? You can, if I'm getting access to these teas and I want to share these teas, it's a big risk for me. It's a risk in the context of it's a reputational risk because if I say this tea is worth $1 a gram, then there's a lot of angry, not very nice people on the internet. Have you guys noticed that? Have you noticed those angry, not very nice people? There's a lot of them, and I would like to avoid those people as much as possible when it comes to something like that. I feel like you rinse off the sweet outer layer when rinsing oolongs. It can happen, especially bug-bitten ones. So the darker the oolong, the more likely it's bug-bitten. You can rinse off that first blast of bug-bitten honey sweetness. Remember, that's literally a layer on the outside of the tea leaves that is like a paste, like a glue or something like that. So you really can. So just be careful with that, with those types of teas. I think the other ones that are not so bug bitten or the lower oxidized ones, it doesn't matter too much because those ones don't really get going until two or three steeps in. Maybe have a more expensive subscription program for those teas. Yeah, like maybe a quarterly one or something like that. I'm playing around with that idea as well. But then the pressure's on. I got to find those teas, right? So oftentimes they're by accident. You find them by accident. Anyways, I've only got 4 on my phone here. So I should probably wrap it up. Just to finish up, on Sunday, Dragon's Eye Flower Herbal Tea Tisane, the Alpine White, the Sancha White, Black, and Green teas. They're all fresh. They've all been done in the fall. They're all going to be released together. Again, 10% off. Vanilla, like literally vanilla beans, Taiwanese vanilla beans, and the 2 tea cakes. Those will all be released on Sunday, and something like that. You're always on the hunt for new teas. I guess a lot of winter harvests are going to be starting to ramp up about now. Yes, the winter harvests are are starting sort of in the next couple days, for sure. But I'm not too worried about getting them in. And this year, just to warn you guys, I don't think the wintertime harvest is going to be all that good. It was dry in a lot of spaces. It was dry for a while, and then it rained a lot. So there was a big sort of spike in the growth. And when there's a big spike in the growth like that, usually that denotes a not so good wintertime tea. But we'll see what happens. I mean, skilled producers are skilled producers. And but yeah, I'll put that on the whiteboard and I'll start ramping that up for sort of more expensive stuff. And maybe I'll have to get better packaging. Anyways, I should go. Tea release on Sunday. I'll probably do another live stream over the next couple days. Maybe another one with the 2 tea cakes because I want to jump into them again and see how it goes. And yeah, wherever you are in the world, I certainly hope you have an amazing morning, night, evening. Sleep well if you're in North America. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next live stream.